If I could go back and start my business all over again, my service business, knowing what I know now after 8 years of expensive mistakes, over $30,000 in business education, and afterwards helping dozens of clients avoid the same traps I fell into, I would do things completely differently now. You see, when I started my fabrication business, I thought success meant having the best equipment, working the hardest, and eventually saying yes to every client. I had like maybe $200,000 worth of equipment in CNC machines and 3D printers. I was working 80-hour weeks. I was taking on everything from supercar body kits to the basic steel structures and everything in between. 8 years later, I was burnt out. I was barely profitable. And I had to eventually sell everything piece by piece because I had built a prison and not a business. But here's what's crazy. Last month, I helped a service business owner implement the exact system I'm about to show you in this video, and in 90 days, they went from working 70-hour weeks for like maybe $8,000 a month to working 25 hours a week for $24,000 a month. If you're starting a service business, or you already have one and you feel trapped in the one that you have, this video will either save you years of pain or show you exactly how to escape the trap that you're probably already in right now. And I've put together a 5-step process with templates and checklists and a program that I mentioned, everything I mentioned in this video. And I have a link down below with the explanation. It's free if you want to look at it. But right now, let's focus on this video, sorry. So point one is start with the end in mind, the exit strategy. The biggest mistake I made was that I built a business that required me to show up every single day. And what I would do differently now, if I would be starting a business today, I would design the business to be sellable from day one, even if I never planned to sell that things. So the 3 questions I'd ask before taking on my first client for something like this is, can this service be systematized and taught to others? Will clients need this service repeatedly or just once? Can I deliver this without being personally involved in every single step? One of my biggest fabrication business failures is that every project was custom and required my personal expertise, and there were one-offs. It was a one-time only. It was fun, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not very sustainable. Many times I had to redo one project. So if I would make my calculations with all the profit margin in mind, and then the thing wouldn't turn out like it was supposed to, at one point the epoxy resin exploded because of the heat, and I had to do it all over again. Like drive for 4 hours to get the same resin and do it in a different condition. Oh my God. That that project was at a loss. Anyway, my God, I think I'm traumatized, and also I'm chewing gum. Please excuse me. Yeah. So anyway, what I do instead is I would choose a different service that can be templated and systematized and repeated. So in lean methodology, lean is just a way for building and auditing businesses. Um, we talk a lot about the Pareto principle, and I'm sure you're familiar with the Pareto principle, like in your day-to-day life. or whatever, like 20% of the things that you do bring 80% of your profit or something like that. But in Lean, it goes a little more deeper. It says that every project, if you're already doing a service business, every project within your business probably has 80% of stuff that you already did for other clients or for other projects, and you can repeat those, and you only have to focus on the custom 20%. So a real example is instead of custom web design, I'd offer conversion optimized websites for dentists using our proven 7-step system. So this has the sellability test. If I disappear for 30 days, would clients still get the results? What the fuck? What? How do I go back? Okay, so what I do instead, I would choose a service that can be templated, systematized, and repeated. There's a reason why fabricators specialize in kitchens or dining room tables or steel frame sets or something, because everything is systematized, and so you can calculate the cost way more effectively if you're doing the same thing, obviously. A real example for something more plausible for you guys is, instead of doing custom web design, I would offer conversion optimized websites for dentists or something, using our proven 7-step system. And the sellability test for this would be like, you're already addressing a certain niche, you already have the templates for everything, and so it's way easier for you to satisfy your customers because you already know what a dentist needs for a website and stuff. Anyway, we're going now to the sellability test. So if you would disappear for 30 days, would the client still get results? Ask yourself and see what the answer is. Anyway, point 2, the one thing rule. Niche down until it almost hurts you. So my Swiss Army knife mistake was that we could build anything, so we weren't good at anything specific. The painful truth was I was competing on price because we had no unique positioning, but at the same time, the unique position would sometimes be, somebody would say, I have a kooky idea that I've never seen done before. And we would be the only ones that would be able to do that. But it comes at a very high cost. So what I would do differently now is I would pick one service for one type of client and become the obvious choice. The so-called riches are in the niches formula. I think I saw this on Instagram one day. So you have one specific service, which is not marketing, but like LinkedIn lead generation. And one specific client type, which is not small businesses, but like B2B software companies with 10, 50 employees. And one specific outcome, i.e., more leads, or not more leads, but 50 more qualified leads each week. For one client of mine, like, they would say, we do digital marketing for everyone. And I'm sure this is the case for many of you. But like, we reformulated and said, we get real estate agents 10 qualified buyer leads per month using Facebook ads. And the result was like from $3,000 projects to $5,000 per month retainer. The magic happens when you're the only person who does exactly what they need. And it's a lot easier for you as well to satisfy the customer at a high quality. Anyway, point 3, build systems before you need them. The so-called McDonald's approach. So my biggest regret was that I waited until I was overwhelmed to create systems. And what I've learned from Six Sigma methodology is that you should document the processes when you're calm and not when you're drowning. And I have like 5 systems I would build in the first 30 days of the business. I would do the client onboarding system, which is the exact steps from when the client says yes to kick off the project. I would have a service delivery system, which would be a step-by-step process for delivering results. I would also have a quality control system with checkpoints to ensure consistency. I would also have a client communication system, so when and how you update clients' project for like when and how you update the client, because at least 93% of the time, the client is just waiting for something to happen. I would also have a project completion system, meaning how you wrap up and get testimonials, because you always need the testimonials. The template approach would be to create one perfect process and then replicate it. And of course, it's gonna be adjusted along the way. So a real example of this is in week 1, you document your current process. Even if it's messy, documentation is very important. In week 2, you identify the 3 biggest bottlenecks. I'm sure there are some. In week 3, you create checklists for each step, like you do on a handoff. In week 4, you test the system with your next client, and eventually what you will notice is like sort of a compound effect. So each system will eventually save you 2-3 hours per client or per project. Anyway, point 4, price for profit, not survival. The value-based revolution. These scripts are hilarious. So my pricing disaster is that I calculated costs and added like a 20% markup, but like that's really stupid. It's not a business, it's a charity, and actually not even only a charity, but you're running at a loss. I remember reading in a book called 101 Things I've Learned in Product Design School how you calculate the cost of a product, and it would be, you would factor in the material cost, the labor cost, the electricity cost, the monthly cost, like rent and whatever, the salaries, the accountant and everybody. And you would do like this. It would be for wholesale, like if somebody buys in bulk several hundred units or above, it's 2x how much it costs you. If it's somebody that comes to you, like an inbound link, so it didn't really cost you anything to show the product, it's 3x your cost. And if it's retail, it's 4x your cost, because you have to factor in all the extra cost that you had for showing things online. This is like a super basic thing, which is not really the case anymore because of the complexity of the network and when you start running ads and stuff. So yes, these multipliers can kind of be useful, but like you got to be a little more intimate with that whole lifetime value over customer acquisition cost, because I was doing everything all wrong. I would only factor in like the materials instead of factoring in recurring costs. And yeah, needless to say, I wasn't making a lot of money in the first year, but then I kind of realized how to do things. Yeah, I was really stupid at the time. I'm sorry. Anyway, what I would do differently in your case, I would do the price based on the value I create, not the time I spend or the material costs. And this is one of the reasons why eventually towards the end of the fabrication business, I was doing art. I wasn't doing like steel frame structures and stuff like that. I did some art projects because I don't know if you know this big secret, but artists don't create their own art. They're responsible for the marketing of themselves and behaving like artists in public, but they don't make the art. They just kind of think about it, and then they talk to somebody like me for it to be built. But don't tell anybody that. Anyway, back to pricing. I would use maybe like a three-tier pricing structure, but like from day one. So there would be like the basic package, a core service with clear deliverables, which would be X amount of dollars. And then I would have like a premium package, which would be the core service plus additional value, which would be like 2.5x of that first amount. And I would also have a VIP package, which would be like a done with you or a done for you experience, which would be 5 times the initial cost of the basic one. So you should use things like value-based pricing formula, because you have to think about what's the financial impact of the problem that you solve, not what it costs you. And what's it worth to the client to fix this problem? You can price it at 10 to 20% of the value you create for the client. So one example would be the old way for web design. A website design costs $3,000 because it takes 60 hours to complete at $50 an hour. But the new way would be our conversion optimization system typically increases revenue by $50,000 per year, so the investment is $8,000. You kind of need a confidence shift in you. So when you price on value, you attract better clients who appreciate results. And you kind of have to, I'm going on a tangent here, but you kind of have to clean yourself up from all the projects that you've done for your friends, because those were some projects that you did at the beginning, but you have to reframe and reevaluate the business relationship that you have with said friends. And I know this may sound a little cold-hearted or cutthroat, hyper-capitalistic thinking, but you could do the same with that person. Just pay full price for whatever that person has to offer. Like, I think friendship and business can act and exist in different dimensions. They're not supposed to exist in the same dimension. So we do business here and we say, fuck you, I'm not paying your price, or fuck you, your work is bad. But here, up here, we go to the movies and it's fine. And I think it's super healthy this way. I don't think friendships like, will you pick me up from the airport, or my boyfriend broke up with me, can I talk to you type shit, I don't think that should be affected by providing services for each other for the fair price that we charge. You know? That's what I think. Maybe that's not the case. I don't know. But that's what I think personally. Maybe I'm hyper-capitalistic, but I think it's better this way. Because if you keep exchanging favors that normally you charge money for, that friendship starts costing you money. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, I think we're at point 5. Hiring. Hire for systems, not for skills. So the delegation strategy. Among my hiring mistakes was that I hired people to do tasks, not to run systems. And what I do differently now is I would hire people to own the entire process, not just to execute the steps. And this is not an easy task to achieve, but I guarantee when you build up leaders, it's way better than to, have a bunch of followers or employees or something. But you have to build them up. You can't just put everything in their lap and say, good luck. I can't wait to see it done. I did that, and I thought that was like empowering them, but no, you have to build and grow leaders. So, about employment, the 3 roles that I would hire in order would be a systems manager, someone who really loves processes and can improve them. I would, after that, hire a client success manager, which would be someone who owns the entire client and the client's experience, someone for the client to talk to. And I would also have a business development manager, someone who can replicate my entire sales process. The guy is for expansion. And in this case, the documentation requirement is, before hiring anyone, document exactly what success looks like. And for the training approach, for the growing of the leaders, on week 1, shadow me during the process. On week 2, do it together, but with my guidance. On week 3 already, they should do it while I'm observing. And on week 4, they should own it completely. And let's just say a freedom formula for this is each hire should remove me from 10 hours plus of weekly work, which means I can work on something else, not like, go tan or something. Anyway, point 6, building recurring revenue from day 1. The predictability game. As a fabricator, my cash flow nightmare was like, every month I felt that we started from 0 and had to build our revenue up all over again. And what I would do differently now is I would structure every service to have a recurring component. So I can think of like 3 ways to add recurring revenue. I would offer maintenance packages, like monthly optimization and updates and things like monitoring. I would offer retainer agreements, like ongoing support and additional work and priority access. And I would also look into something I call performance partnerships with revenue sharing and results-based ongoing fees. And this little thing I've learned here in Dubai because they have something called halal investments, which are based on Sharia law, in which they do not work with interest. So they won't, if you need financing for your business, they won't just give you the money and then you have to give the money back with interest. They're active stakeholders. So we have profit sharing and loss sharing as well. And I think that is a beautiful thing because all the shareholders are, paying attention to the business and think of ways to offer value to the business, not only with cash, but like with guidance, with networking and things like this. I think that's very healthy. That's a very healthy way to do the business. Interest is like rent-seeking behavior. You don't generate any new value, but you think the capital itself generates value by just, you not having it sit in your account. Whew. Anyway, the implementation strategy for this is like months 1 to 3, you deliver the core project, right? And then month 4 and beyond, you transition to ongoing optimization and maintenance. The goal you should be looking for here is to have 60% of revenue from recurring sources within 12 months. You can do it. If you reframe your mind, you can do it. One of my clients did it. They had a web design agency and they added approximately $2,000 a month in maintenance packages. And the result was eventually a predictable $40,000 a month recurring revenue within 18 months. I know it's not fast, but it's there. Anyway, that's exactly what I do if I were starting a service business design. A service business, again, I would design it for sellability. I would niche down ruthlessly. I would build systems early on. I would price on value. I would hire for ownership. And I would create recurring revenue from day one. The difference between this approach and what most people do represents the difference between building a business and building a job. I spent 8 years learning this the hard way, so you don't have to. Now, I know all these things might seem overwhelming at first, so I've created a complete 5-step process with all the templates, all the checklists, and step-by-step guides. I mentioned all of these things in this video. My stuff also includes client onboarding templates and checklists for the 5 core systems, the value-based pricing calculator, and the recurring revenue conversion scripts. It's basically everything you need to build a service business that actually serves your life and serves your client's life as well, instead of consuming you both. Just click the only link, I hope, in the description, and I'll explain exactly how that works. And if you're already running a service business and started feeling a little trapped, don't worry. It's never too late to implement these systems. I've helped dozens of business owners transform from overwhelmed operators to strategic CEOs using these exact principles. The entrepreneurs who take action on this stuff are the ones who build businesses that fund their freedom instead of stealing it. That's what I believe. Go click that link below to not lose it. And I'll see you in this next video where I'm breaking down the exact Six Sigma methodology I use to eliminate bottlenecks in any service business. And thank you for watching.